But then you're going to
Yeah.
It's just a zoo, it's just a little party.
Yeah, we had deer flies. I mean, not surprising.
Yeah.
Growing up for a long time this year. Really quite.
Are you going to show a picture of the trip?
Are we okay with it? Good.
Oh, also triplet pond.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to guests and visitors to this meeting of the Mount Vernon City Council. And we want to open the meeting with, after calling the meeting to order, with regard to any agenda changes. And I've got one, first of all, on J6. This is final invoice on the Lager Concrete, the sidewalk project. We're not ready to discuss that at this point, so we're going to drop that off the agenda. And then there's some more movement based upon Tom's suggestion here on the agenda. I'll let you go through it.
It's going to be really convoluted. J6 with the modern concrete, and we can make a motion to table that tonight.
So,
Well, which no, not yet, but
He was ready.
but when we get to that point, we will ask you to table that.
Okay.
You're going to do E1, that public hearing, in G1. But then you're going to keep going under resolutions. So then you're going to approve or look at G2 and G3 first. And then you'll go back and have the public hearing under E2, which is actually tied to G4. Because those two resolutions have to be approved before you approve the application. And the public hearing is tied to the actual application.
So E1 and G1. G2.
Just shepherd us through it.
Yeah. I will make sure that you...
We appreciate, but no.
Yeah. There's really no easy way to change the agenda in order to do this, so it's just going to be bouncing backwards like a lot.
So, thank you, Paul.
Seconded.
Take Shereen on that. Paul and Shereen approved the two changes in the agenda there. We're ready to vote on that amended agenda. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is communications. If there's anybody here to speak to any item that's not on the agenda, it's public comment time. Just need to come to the podium and you have 5 minutes.
20 seats up there.
Introduce yourself and your address. Anybody here for public comment? Last call for anybody here on public comment. We'll move on to the consent agenda. We have 2 items with council minutes and 1 appointment to the Board of Adjustment. And everybody okay with the consent
I
agenda?
would move it to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Craig and Mark, moved and seconded to approve the 2-item consent agenda. If you're ready to vote on that, all in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we'll do the sequence here of public hearing E1. Public hearing on accepting the engineer's report, preliminary plat, and engineer compensation. And setting the election for the EMS election is defined in Chapter 357G of the State of Iowa Code and giving notice thereof. We'll officially open that public hearing. Any comments have come in? Anybody here to speak to that in the public hearing?
No, Jake is here. I believe Lisbon and Johnson County have both approved theirs already.
Yep.
So the other entities would be us, Lynn County,
That would be.
that's it? That's just those 4?
And all the same dates for all the same stuff there?
The election would be September 1.
Still, okay. And we'll send the time frame with the county to get the 60 days, whatever it is. Yeah.
And would that be a standalone election, or is there some other election or something happening at that
Name and introduction for everybody.
Jake Lindauer, Service Director for the Lisbon Mount Vernon Ambulance 310
4th Avenue Northwest. So yeah, so it would be an election with Johnson County, Lynn County, City of Lisbon, City of Mount Vernon. Single issue, so it would be approval of the levy for the district as well as nomination of trustees for each district. So then those would be appointed by the governing body of each district. So you'd appoint 3 trustees out of the top 5. So.
Any questions of Jake while we have him up here? We're still officially in the public hearing part. Is there anybody from the public here to address that item regarding the EMS election? Now I'll officially close that public hearing and move to G1. This is Resolution 7/20/2026A, approving plat of the City of Mount Vernon Emergency Medical Services District and setting the election. The question of a special levy, September 1st, 2026.
I move resolution 7-20-2026A.
Thank you, Paul.
Okay.
I'll take Scott on that one. Paul and Scott. It's moved and seconded to approve Resolution 7/20/2026A, and that is a roll call vote. Marcia, if you are ready.
Turler,
Yes.
Hanson Claire,
Yes.
Engel,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
That resolution unanimously passes. Now we are to G2, correct?
Correct.
Let's officially open the public hearing.
Nope. Just resolution.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. G2, yeah. Resolution 7/20/2026B, designating a portion of the Central Business District a slum/blighted area of rehabilitation, conservation, redevelopment, development, or a combination thereof, being necessary in the interest of the public health, safety, or welfare of the residents.
To be fair, this was already designated, so anytime that we do an urban renewal plan, that's a part of it. CDBG requires kind of a reaffirmation every two years. So this resolution needs to be adopted before you submit the application.
Now, do you have anything to present at this point?
I do have some slides prepared.
I would probably wait for the slides in the public hearing. So these are just, these 2 resolutions, one is the like I said, reaffirmation of the slum and blight. The second is the city essentially stating that they're willing to provide the match up to $260,000. If you're not, there's really no point in going through the public hearing.
Then turn it over to the council.
I would move approval of resolution 7-20-2026B.
Thank you, Paul.
Second.
And Craig. Moved and seconded to move forward with 7/20/2026B, that resolution.
Before we go to the vote, I just, and Chris, and correct me if I'm wrong, but when you hear slum and blighted, that can be a bit shocking. There's legal term definitions that go along with those. We are not calling Uptown Mount Vernon a slum, or by the colloquial definition. These are terms that you have to use for some of the grants and proposals that we have to put forward. So just...
So yes, the entire city, because the entire city is covered by an urban renewal area, is technically designated slum and blighted, obviously not even close, but yeah, it's just the way the TIP law is written.
So, I just wanted to, it's a little jarring when you hear that language in a town that we're very proud of, so.
Absolutely. Any other clarifying questions? Otherwise, we are ready to put that to a roll call vote.
Anderson,
Yes.
Turler,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
Engel,
Yes.
Hanson Claire,
Yes.
Resolution passes. Now we are to G3.
Correct.
Resolution 7/20/26C, committing a local match from the city, $260,000 for the Community Development Block Grant Commercial Building Facade Grant.
Likely funding mechanism for this would be tax increment financing. Building owners are still putting a significantly larger portion forward. I want to say it's like 306 or 7,000 compared to the 260 plus the grant. So
any other questions from the council, I would move approval of resolution 7-20-2026C, approving up to $260,000 toward the facade project.
I'll second.
Craig and Scott.
And before we vote, I just want to clarify, it is a little bit more money than I anticipated spending comparatively, but it's fine. I think it's very important that this project goes through. That's when I started and when I ran. There was this discussion that I kept hearing about, uptown, keeping uptown, the way it is, and not allowing, stores like Quick Start to come in. But I wanted to fight for that area as well. So I believe that we can get both areas, and we still need to focus on uptown as well. So I think this is part of the project of working on keeping uptown and making it even better than it was while keeping it expanding. So I think this is the perfect project for Mount Vernon. So I fully support it as well.
Any other comments, statements, or clarifying questions? You ready to vote on that?
Engel,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
Turler,
Yes.
Hanson Player,
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
That resolution passes. We're now to E2, I believe.
This is where I.
Officially open the public hearing for consideration of grant application for the commercial building facades improvement project, adopting findings required in association with approval of a downtown revitalization application through the Community Development Block Grant Program of the Iowa Economic Development Authority. That public meeting is now open. And I think, turn over to Tom. The introduction of title and so on, the name.
We're all over here crossing our fingers.
I'm seriously, I want to.
Oh, that doesn't work.
Oh, you know what?
Hang on.
Okay, and while we're working on that, I'll introduce myself. I'm Tom Gross. I'm a senior planner at the East Central Iowa Council of Governments. And I'm putting together the grant application for this project. So the public hearing is meant to provide an opportunity to give an overview of the project and get public input on it before the council makes a final decision on the grant application. So I've put together some slides just to kind of help illustrate that stuff. There will be a part a little bit later on that I'll read through, and that part will be a little bit more rote, and I apologize for that. The hearing is also going to be a little bit unusual because for the CDBG applications, we're required to do a community development housing needs assessment. I think it's really weird to do that in a hearing, but that's what IEDA requires. So I'll do that. Probably the way I'll do it is go through my presentation and then sit down for anyone who wants to comment on the project. And then after that, before the hearing's closed, I'll come back up and do the community development housing needs assessment, which will be just running through some needs for the community and talking about some projects that are in the planning process. All right. So we are well into the development of the application for this project. Change for this year is it's the commercial building facades program, and it's within the downtown revitalization fund. So that was a change to the CDBG that's made for this year. And also part of the reason why we've been working on this for so long, because there was several month gap from when it normally would have, the last round normally would have been. But we are now approaching that. To provide some overview, the commercial building facades program provides funding to cities to rehabilitate blighted downtown buildings. The project must meet the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development's national objective of reducing slum and blight, hence the resolution tonight. I've got another example to give an example that would kind of speak to Councilman Rose's point earlier. But through the grant, cities can be awarded up to $650,000 for those facade improvements. This is an example from Anamosa, just to kind of show what the project's about. This is these three buildings were all, actually I think all four of these facades were participating. But these are examples of the after, so that's a pretty remarkable difference. I also have a couple other buildings that were part of that project. The one on the left is would probably, most people would say that is a building that's showing slum and blighted conditions. Whereas the building on the right, it's probably less clearly blighted, but it still qualifies for the program. And there's a lot more of that in Mount Vernon than the example on the right. And then in terms of the preparation of the materials, the city's been working with an architect on the cost estimates and designs. So this is after. So pretty, yeah. Even for the building on the right, that's light blight, it's still pretty noticeable improvement. But here's some renderings for what that could look like in Mount Vernon. So these are done for all the buildings. I think there's a couple where there's a couple of revisions the architect's working on, but I just grabbed a couple of examples of a couple of buildings showing some refurbishment to the storefronts, new windows, new awnings, that type of stuff. All right, so I'm going to provide a couple of details about the program. The city receives a grant and holds architecture and construction contracts. General only fronts and readily visible sides qualify. Mount Vernon has enough participating building owners. We actually have 12 sides included in the program. And you only need 8 to be eligible for the full grant amount, so we'll be submitting for the full grant amount. A local match is required. Generally that's need to be 36%, but just with the cost of the project. The application we submit will have Mount Vernon, between the city and building owners, matching 45% for the project.
Tom?
I have a breakdown on that.
Not to ask a dumb question, but so the generally only fronts and readily visible sides qualify. I'm thinking of like scores on the alley. Would the alley side qualify as part of that?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's included. Yep.
Okay.
So
It's not just on like a street, like a highway. It's
Okay.
actually okay.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, so in the alley there, that would be considered a readily visible side. So we've talked about this, it's already voted on there, but just to show you where that count came out. In the district, the target area for the grant program counted 9 good condition buildings, 17 fair, and 1 poor. So that's the map that was the attachment for the resolution, showing exactly where all those are. And that also has the participating buildings circled or highlighted with a blue border. So the application is due August 17th, 2026. As I mentioned, there's 12 participating buildings. So here's a breakdown of the estimate for the project. Total for the project is $1.182 million. And then the construction costs on that come to $951,850, and then it shows some other fees associated with it. And then splitting the local portion, which totals $532,844, so that's less than the grant contribution. Right here I'm showing 230. That's because we've allowed to increase the match more if the construction costs end up being more than what we had in the budgeted application. And then $302,844 from the building owner's contribution. And then through this meeting, some of the materials that we're getting for the application would be, after this, the application approval resolution, if passed. Then we already have the slum and blight designation and the city local match. You've been provided with HUD form 2880, which is just a general application form. And then there's a federal assurances form 2. And that's just saying that the city will adhere to federal rules since there's federal money tied to it. And this list is actually a little bit broader than what's on the form itself, but most of them are in there. So the minimizing displacement, which doesn't really apply too much, conform with Civil Rights Acts, environmental review, historic preservation, Fair Housing Act, and then there's some different kind of more construction-related requirements that go along with it that ECOG would be working with the city to make sure to try to meet all those requirements. All right. So any questions? I do have one other part that I'll read off, but I'll take any questions from the council first.
Just remember, when did we start this process?
When did we start it?
It seems like it was like a year ago.
At least a year ago. And we probably started talking about it a little bit before then, yeah. And
There was a
so,
lot of groundwork to get, because there's a, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a certain percentage of business owners that need to participate before we even start this whole part of it. So there was a lot of groundwork in figuring out who might be, what that might look like, all of that. So, correct, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, and then having time to procure an architect and a lot of them to go through the process of doing the designs and cost estimates.
So I'm seeing on the map that 120 First Street West is considered poor. I'm looking it up and it's coming up as sheer image, but it seems like that would be, I call it the mystery building.
Yeah.
That nothing is in there.
Uh,
Wouldn't that be the poor?
The addresses are a little weird around there. It actually goes, I think, 114, 120, 118. They don't go in order for a couple buildings right in there.
Okay.
That's Pete also.
114, 120 is kind of odd. They're participating, obviously. In fact, nobody on that, after the pop-up park for the bank are participating.
Oh, because they don't have the big.
The blue border.
I'm just confused why the mystery building isn't considered the poor one.
It is, yep. So it's 120. It's just because of how the addresses are in there.
Google the map is showing it as
Yeah, it seems like it should be 116, but I think it's between 114 and 118.
Yeah, just, yeah, when you look up 120, it's showing about sheer image.
Although Google is sometimes wrong on our uptown buildings because I've had to be
Oh,
stuck
yeah.
here and there.
I
Yeah,
correct
and then-
Google all
Because
the
they're
time.
so
Putting
smushed together
corrections.
that,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not always accurate.
Okay.
That might be 120. I think that's 122 and 122 and a half in that building with the.
Okay. I'll go correct.
Tom, is it true that if we are successful on this grant, there's a kind of a sister grant to this that would potentially help with the Uptown Streetscape?
Yeah, there's a new streetscapes grant. I forget right off the top of my head what the amount for that is, but it's, I think, it's a decent amount of money. That is only available to cities who have completed commercial building facades.
That alone, from my perspective, would be worth the grant application.
Thanks for bringing that up.
Are these, is the work that would be done purely cosmetic, or would there be some structural work that would go along with it as well?
If they haven't covered structural issues, they'd have to deal with it as it comes up, but it's, yeah, it's just a facade, so they can find structural things, but.
We're not rebuilding whole sides of a building.
It wouldn't extend like any further than what the facade is unless it's, you know, like integral to the facade system.
The only other thing that I would say is if you have a chance in Google, obviously everybody knows what happened in Davenport, but Muscatine is the most recent, dealing with a number of building collapses and potential issues. So while the work is technically cosmetic, it's usually where that facade is usually where we start to see structural problems and the sloughing off of brick towards the sidewalk is usually the first noticeable issue.
So just from a historical perspective, we had that issue with the Bond building, and the resolution to that was putting on, I'm gonna call them, the cinches that go back into the structure of the building, and then they're able to tighten the forward-facing brick up. That would be an in-town example of what could be done, because we don't want bricks falling on people's heads, especially mine.
Yes.
And then at this point, I'm going to read that part that is required to make sure I hit all those points, because I have to be able to report that they were stated during the hearing, and then I'll sit down for a moment and anyone wants to make any comment, and then I'll have that one other part that I got to come back to. Okay, so, and again, this is kind of wrote just to make sure I get it all covered, and I can get this into the minutes. So as concerned with how the need for proposed activities was identified, it's noted that building survey determined 66.7% of properties within a targeted downtown area qualify as fair poor condition and are in need of facade improvements. As concerned with how the proposed activities will be funded and the source of funds, is noted that the proposed project cost is presently estimated to total $1.182 or $1,182,000, $82,844, with grant assistance of $650,000 being requested from the CDBG program, with local match to be provided by the city of Mount Vernon in an amount of $230,000 plus property owner participation for the residual balance of the local match for $302,844. As concerned with the date of the application will be submitted, it will be submitted to the Iowa Department of Economic Development by August 17th, 2026. As concerned with the requested amount of federal funds, it is noted that $650,000 is being requested from the CDBG program. As concerned with the benefit from federal funding, it's noted that the target area survey has determined the project qualifies for CDBG program funding with the predominance of slum and flooding conditions. As concerned where proposed activities will be conducted, it's noted that the commercial building facade improvements is targeted to an area within the 100 East and West blocks of First Street. And then as concerned with plans to minimize displacement of persons or businesses as a result of funded activities and plans to assist persons actually displaced. It's noted that because no property acquisition or permanent loss of use of a property is proposed, there'll be no displacement of persons or businesses as a result of funded activities. Temporary relocation of residential tenants may be required for some of the buildings, and housing stipend will be provided if relocation is not waived. So anything would probably be like 10 days or less, but it may be required when there's like window replacement in a residential unit. And then as concerned with the nature of the proposed activities, so that Mount Vernon's commercial building facade project will principally comprise building facade improvement. So thanks for bearing with me through that. I'm going to sit down for a moment in case anyone wants to make comments on the project, and then I'll finish up my part of the hearing.
Thank you, Tom, and we're still in the public hearing, and if there's anybody here from the public that wants to address the situation, now before we call Tom back up again. Wait a few minutes here, if anybody else wants to make any comments.
I want to clarify too, not that the preservation of your buildings isn't important to me, but the uptown streetscape just has a really large budget number attached to it, so any potential grant money on top of that would be a bonus.
And it would benefit
Yeah.
the businesses.
Could I ask a question? Or just one? All right.
Casey O'Connor. Hi, Casey O'Connor, Main Street Business Center. So, yeah, the question I had was for what you're talking about with the streetscape plan. Do you have any numbers on that? Like, would that basically, the 30-ish% that we would be spending with the current grants, I guess that number might be reduced by the city, the 260 the city is granting. And then would that number be shrunken even more by the numbers that you're talking about?
No.
Okay.
So that would be a sister application to this. So the price tag that we're still arguing about a little bit is somewhere in the neighborhood of $4.5 to probably $6 million for both phase 1 and phase 2 of the Uptown Streetscape. So that's where I'm going with the potential $500,000 investment from local business owners in the city here could leverage a significantly higher dollar amount for that next phase of the streetscape. So, I mean, leveraging $650,000, almost more than a dollar for dollar match is an incredible grant opportunity as it is, but here, you know, it has the potential then to leverage even more of that.
Good question.
Thank you.
Is the facade project,
And I really want to support this. I was invited tonight to come show my support. I'm overtly saying I support this. Thank you.
does the facade project have to be completed before we can apply for the sister grant for the streetscape?
That is true.
Yes.
It has to be completed, right? We would not qualify. So a community that has already done the facade project would has a greater chance of getting that. We would have none if we didn't do this.
Yep.
And then the current grant, I think, is going to be due before we're done. So we cannot apply for that during this grant cycle, but the next time it comes up, we would qualify, right?
Right. And our understanding is that we're waiting for streetscape until after the Highway 1 project.
Potentially, yes. The only issue that I would not muddy the waters would be changes to the property tax legislation and whether or not that would speed or expedite the need. But I really do not want to have Highway 1 and First under construction at the same time.
Oh, I would agree with that.
I'm going out of country with you.
Say they do with this.
Try to avoid that.
Anyone else in the public?
I just want to say that we're not getting every building, right? 12 buildings in our Main Street district are going to be applying for this grant. But they do offer this option of a phase 1 and a phase 2. So after we go through this project, if we have 12 other building owners that would like to participate, we could potentially write a grant in a few years, but not till we're done. So it opens up more grant possibilities there too.
Is that the same type of grant?
It's the
Could we
same grant
use the
we're
mic,
talking
we've
about
got
now.
people at home, so if we're gonna,
Same steps and everything.
What's that? We'll go through the whole process again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Joe, could you just come to the mic and repeat the question and then the answer, please?
Oh.
Thank you. Thanks, Joe.
My name is Joe Jennison.
Thank you.
Is that all I can give you?
Question and then your answer,
Is
please.
the microphone turned on? To just make sure it's green.
It's great.
there you go. We've just got folks here at home who wouldn't have
And
picked
you
up
can't hear anything
the
unless it
conversation you
comes
guys
through the
just had.
microphone.
Oh, right,
So,
yeah, yeah.
Joe, the question was, would, if we did a phase 2 to this project, would we have to go through the same exact process?
That is correct. We start over from scratch. But I'm just saying for those building owners that didn't get in on this, lots of different reasons that they didn't, there is a potential to do a phase 2 after those building owners see this grant in all its glory when it's all finished, they might say, oh, I'd like to do that too. So we have another option, a phase 2.
Great. Thank you. Good question.
I believe we had a question on Zoom. Something popped up.
Let's check on Zoom, where is anybody else?
Will the project make uptown businesses wheelchair accessible?
So the answer to that is no. Please keep in mind, even when we go through the uptown streetscape, where we do work towards ADA compliance, there are exemptions and exceptions for buildings in uptown. So I would not sit here and guarantee that any grant application that we do would make that requirement of uptown businesses. I think the goal between both projects would be to get to that point at some point, but understand that some of the businesses would be extremely complicated to make that happen.
Any other?
And
Please.
does part of that also factor into the historic preservation designation?
Mostly building code and ADA requirements, but yes, and the historic nature does add to your argument.
Thank you.
Tom Redding at 113 First Street. Bringing up the fact there's a second phase, does the second phase have to be completed before the streetscape, or would that be afterwards?
Second phase would most likely, I'm only saying most likely because I'm not 100% positive, but I'm 99.9% positive that the phase 2 would have to be done before we started the other grant application. Kind of either or.
That was the only question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any comments or questions from the audience, the public here? Then they close the public hearing, I'll bring Tom back up again.
Thank you, yeah. So this part is the community development housing needs assessment. So public participation is great for this, and instead of having everyone come up to the mic, if I get any input from here, I'll repeat it so it can be heard. But basically, I'll be going through community development and housing needs of LMI persons. That's like what are the needs of the community, and then just other community development and housing needs, and then finally planned or potential activities to address housing and community needs. And I have also gone through the comprehensive plan for the community as kind of a starting place. And then we're supposed to assign a priority for these things too. And again, thanks for bearing with me. This is a long, awkward thing to do in a public hearing, but it's a requirement for the application. The intent is good, but it's just a bit of an awkward spot to do it. So from the city's comprehensive plan, I have related to community development housing needs of LMI persons. I came across a recommendation to integrate appropriate housing for families of all income and all age levels. And I believe that's also related to the goal of creating and supporting the Mount Vernon Housing Commission. So I just have it listed here as support since the creation part was completed, and then develop a housing rehabilitation program. So those are all items kind of identified in the comprehensive plan. So if there's other suggestions for community development housing needs for low to moderate income households, I could take those either from the audience or online or the council too. Anything to add for needs in the community, specifically for low to moderate income households?
We need more.
More housing.
So you're not just talking about the uptown area, we're talking about the whole city?
The whole community,
Okay.
yep. So, yeah, it gets a little confusing, so it's,
Yeah, it's a big issue for us. We do not have enough of it. We have plenty of houses that are in the 400 to 600,000 range.
anything else to note? So that's a big one. Okay, so then the next category is just other community development housing needs generally. So not limited just to the low and moderate income population. Then from the comp plan I pulled, maintain the city's historic built environment, preserve the uptown district, which is important for the grant application. Encourage green building practices, provide for the safe movement of all residents, provide water and sewer systems that both meet both the needs of the citizens of Mount Vernon and environmental quality standards, and then rehabilitate aging infrastructure. I believe there's also a park. New park was a part of the community development housing needs. Anything else that you would be like something you'd like particularly like to point as a community need?
Senior housing.
We do have a trails plan that we are continuing to work and develop through our Parks and Recreation Board.
We had a meeting a few years back about mixed-use housing and looking at ways to have that within the community. And I don't know if we got anywhere with that, but that would be a way to have more options and also getting into having more housing opportunities for low to middle income coming into our community.
And then I'll check I think that might be part of the Highway 30 action plan that allows for that.
The mixed use.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
the overreaching goal would be diversification of housing styles and price points. And then Lori just pointed out, we've also discussed
All-inclusive playgrounds, or a playground, it's all-inclusive.
And we've also been looking at ADUs.
correct changes to state law.
All right. Oh, and then of the items that we've mentioned, so it sounds like I could probably put affordable housing as a high priority, given, I would assume, Mount Vernon's demographics, just like every other place, senior housing is probably going to be pretty important in the future. Maybe list that as a high priority. Anything else on the diversification of housing styles and prices? I'll put that for the preserve uptown district too. Anything else to kind of note as a high priority for the community?
Chris, we're about another year away from extending out of Skogan north to the railroad track. There was going to be some variety of housing there, not single-family housing there. Are we a year away from that or longer?
That's my assumption. They've gone every other year typically.
That extreme.
They have X amount of lots that have to be done or under contract with each phase before they will open the next.
Is the next the last one?
If they continue to do it all in one, yes.
That would get us to the track. And that would be the variety of housing.
Correct.
Year.
And then in regard to the planned or potential activities, I already have the streetscape and trail improvements listed on here. Any other planned or potential activities that would be worth writing down here?
We planned out a new pool.
You had.
Why would you do that?
That's not even here.
There's no burger.
Strike that.
It's a plan.
The last senior housing project was partnering with CHI for condo apartments. Any chance that might get an additional building? I mean, it's full now, but I've been in communication with them.
Not to say that there's not a chance, it would be a limited chance, just given the extent of what it took them. I think it was 5 years and Rachel that actually got that tax credit program off the ground.
Going off of what you said, Scott, actually, regarding the pool, that, I mean, about that Davis Park area, it is depleted in a lot of ways. The playground group, obviously, needs work, needs to go.
And that's been identified by the Parks and Recreation
Yeah.
Board, it's on there.
There's a number of
Punch
things
list.
on that punch list that I think there might be another Davis Park to kind of lump that all together.
Mhm.
All right, well, if there's nothing else, that gives me some information to provide with the application. And that's all I need. So thank you very much for your time and bearing with me through a little bit of awkward or unusual public hearing. So, but yeah, we'll keep getting the application assembled, and then because of some strings that get attached to the project, once we hit the apply button, I'll probably be waiting until the 17th to submit it, even though we'll have it ready to go before then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom, and thank you, ECOG, for partnering with us on this project.
Definitely.
This is good. Thank you. So we're done with comments there.
Thank you to all the business owners for coming in tonight also.
I think we're ready to close the public hearing now. So that public hearing is closed. We go on to comments, and I think we move to G4. Resolution 720, 2026D, approving a grant application for the commercial building of the downtown commercial building facades improvements project. Adopting findings required in association with approval of a downtown revitalization application to the Community Development Block Grant Program of the Iowa Economic Development Authority.
I will move to approve resolution number 7-20-2026D.
Mark and Paul. Moved and seconded to move forward with 7/20/26D, and that is a roll call vote. If you're ready, Marcia.
Rose?
Yes.
Engel?
Yes.
Hanson Claire?
Yes.
Andreessen?
Yes.
Philip?
Yes.
I guess let's do that sequence. Thank you all for being here. Thanks for going through the process with us, Tom. Now I think we are to G5. Resolution 7/20/26E, approving the Iowa Code Chapter 28E, agreement between the City of Marion and the City of Mount Vernon for the line striping project.
So Marion has been doing line striping for, I want to say, like the last maybe 5 or 6 years. They have asked to memorialize this in the 2080 agreement from an insurance standpoint. We pay their cost plus, I think it's like 1%. That really can't beat it.
You know,
A great deal.
Oh, yeah.
Not at all.
Approval of resolution 7-20-2026E, approving Iowa Chapter 28 agreement between the City of Marion
Leave it the same for
and
that.
the City of Mount Vernon for line striping.
Second.
Paul and Shereen. Moved and seconded to move forward with 7/20/26D. And no other questions? Ready to vote on that? All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's a roll call.
Yeah.
Turler?
Oops, yes.
Hanson Claire?
Yes.
Engel?
Yes.
Andreessen?
Yes.
Rose?
Yes.
Next motion for approval is claims list this afternoon. Questions or comments? Move to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the claims list.
Who was that? Mark and,
Mark and Paul.
you just did that so fast, I knew.
It was all in
Stay
one
with us.
document.
We have a motion on the floor if we're ready to vote on it. No questions or comments? All in favor of the motion on the claims list approval, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Discussion consideration on accepting the Firehouse Subs Public Safety Foundation Award for purchasing AEDs and accessories. Fire Department, council action as needed.
Yes, so I just need a formal motion from the council to approve the Q3 2026 Firehouse Subs Public Safety Foundation grant application that the fire department submitted for the purchase of 6 AED, AED3 BLS EMS fire package AEDs and accessories in the amount of $19,386.90.
So moved.
Right.
Second.
Paul and Mark, have another question?
Would these be placed at the city, or are these to go in vehicles?
Yeah,
So is this Firehouse Subs, the food
The
business?
sandwich place.
Okay. And for good public relations and all that, they're giving these grants to towns?
So, I don't want to pretend to speak for their business,
Of
but
course.
it was founded in that manner, and they do give, either through a foundation or through the business itself, they give a significant amount of grants out on an annual basis.
Well, that's great.
We'll have more Firehouse Subs from now on.
They're very good tubs.
And recently, we had T-Mobile give a $50,000 grant to the Beach for their community outreach as well. So,
Good.
they'll learn
And
really
you
well.
can buy a 5-gallon bucket that Pickles used to be in that have like the whole Maltese cross. They're kind of cool for $2. If you ever need a 5-gallon bucket, just racist facts.
All right.
Yes, they have been an excellent
It smells like
business,
pickles.
corporate business,
Yeah.
emergency service.
Great.
Getting back to J2, I think we have a motion. Are we ready to vote on that, or do we have any comments? All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries mercifully. Discussion consideration purchasing 2 desktop workstations for the public works site.
We are just about there. Obviously, this year is one of the last things that needs to happen, but we are looking to purchase 2 computer workstations. This gives them the opportunity, well, so our new software transition does have essentially digital timesheets, and it also has the ability for them to digitally look at their W-2s, their pay stubs, their work history, like all of that. So we do have a need for 2 workstations out there that would be able to split time.
The hope would be that these will probably last for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, the dollar amount is $5,040.
Are these, just a software question, would they be able to, would these computers be the only spot that those guys could, those folks could access this information? Can they log into these things like that?
Technically, they can log into their personal site from home, but
Yeah, I mean, we need to make sure that.
yeah, from a convenience factor, the technology allows them to kind of log in from anywhere.
And it's infinitely easier to see. Manage all.
Much less paper.
Well, and if somebody's, I'm throwing things in the air here a little bit, but there's other opportunities like emails and HubSpot tickets, and if we have problems with phones, somebody loses one, they'll have access to that stuff as well.
With that, I would move approval of the contract with Iowa Solutions for the two stations at Public Works. Total of $5,040.
Second. Scott and Paul. Motion on the floor to approve the two desktop workstations for Public Works site. We're ready to vote on that. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Motion carries. Discussion and consideration of the World Maker Resilience Institute invoice 0726 for the Mount Vernon-Lisbon Police Department. Council action is needed. This is our work with Molly Marty and Company.
This is the invoice is for $50,126.55. This is provided basically through the Department of Justice COPS grant. So while we pay the invoice, we get reimbursed for the cost.
Appreciated the report that they provided with this.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's nice to see that follow up and have it communicated.
I just have a question. What exactly happens in this training, or what is it used for?
So it's to build like first responder resilience. So just trying to be able to be mentally strong and to be able to get yourself back into the, be ready to go back to work essentially day after dealing with the things that first responders deal with. So
Staving off PTSD.
yeah. It was developed out of the military, and then they kind of brought it back into the first responders, and they found that it's going over very well with the first responders. So yeah.
That's great. I mean, I read all the great reviews, but I'm like, what is it? So thank you for that explanation.
It's basically a local vendor too.
I would move approval of the World Maker Resilience Institute invoice 0726 in the amount of $50,126.55.
Second.
Craig and Mark on that one. Motion on the floor to approve the World Maker Resilience Institute invoice. And if no other questions or comments, we're ready to vote on that. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? The motion carries. Discussion consideration of the access control for the visitor center. Council action is needed.
I do want to point out this as well. There is an access system that we have here at City Hall, so it's both locations, but we're attempting to add the visitor center camera to our monitoring area in light of some recent things. So we are asking for a slight cushion here. The invoice is $2,850.18 pending any unforeseen. So we would ask to be able to go up to $3,200 for this.
And not to exceed.
And not to exceed $3,200.
With that explanation, I would move approval of the RC Tech access control quote not to exceed $3,200.
Second. Scott and Mark on that one. Motion on the floor to approve the access control for the visitor center with a not to exceed number of 3,200. And ready to vote on that. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. J6 has been tabled. We are to
We would need to table.
Motion to table.
So moved.
move effective to table J6.
Got it.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The motion carries. Quick to reports. Vernon-Lisbon Police Report.
Obviously, it was a busy month. We've had Todd's party for his retirement, and then we also had another reserve resign and retire after 19 years, Preston Johnson. So he'll be sorely missed. He was a great asset, but he's put in his time. So yeah, and then the golf outing went great. I think Marcia might be able to specify, but I think it was like over $12,000. I think is what we raised there. So.
And that specifically goes to prom and
The canine, the whole system. Yep.
he doesn't have a checking account. Squeaky toys from years. Lots of kibble.
Final prize winners.
I think we did, yeah.
There was one prize winner that was announced. Alex, his phone number contact was 867-5309. Well, read this often.
And it was obviously Jesse's girlfriend.
Was it you?
I think he works there or something like
Pleasant High
that.
School, I think, yeah. But that was a little levity there of the good awards. Any questions of Chief? Public Works, Alden. Any trees come down today?
Not today. Well, no, I think that. We didn't hit one down, but I think there was the same one up at Cornell. It was our tree, but
Just wait for the storm.
it was right after this one.
Any questions for Alden? Is this sewer line to Brent Roads started yet?
We have a pre-con tomorrow.
Pre-construction meeting, okay.
Yeah.
It's close. Okay.
2 o'clock.
There's a lot of people in that trust. For easements and pictures.
Questions of Eldon, otherwise Parks and Rec report?
Just quick, I had a citizen reach out to me about, and I didn't know the answer because I'm not signed up for yard waste pickup. And she said she just gets missed all the time, but I didn't know what the schedule was like. So I'll see what I can find out for you.
So,
Is this the Republic
is
or
it
is
the
this?
yard waste container or a brush pickup?
She has a yard waste container.
Okay, so that'd be Republic.
So, Mike, having dealt with multiple misses of my entire street over the last 3 months, the best course of action for any resident with either garbage, recycling, or waste is to call Republic immediately. That, so for example, I called at 3 o'clock on the Friday of Heritage Days to explain that my recycling hadn't been picked up, and according to their driver, the route was done, and I explained that that was unacceptable on a Heritage Days weekend. Talked to a supervisor and all that, and it still didn't get picked up till Monday, but the more they hear directly from residents with missed pickups, the more pressure is on them to drive that. And it also feeds into the information that gets to the city administration.
Okay.
Is it still the first option when you call the city? Is it the first option to, like, press 1 to go to Republic? So that's an easy way.
Yeah, I'd let her know that. The yard waste, if they have a yard waste container, is that picked up every week? Or is
No, and so the difficult part about the yard waste container is, it is through Republic, but it is the one thing that we don't provide. So they contact Republic specifically for that container. I do not believe it's weekly, but again, it wasn't part of the original contract. It was an add-on, that service that Republic has. I would say, to echo what Paul has noted, definitely call if there is a missed situation. There aren't a ton of them citywide. I mean, there's still a fair number, but they're not every household. So
We do actually have inventory of yard waste containers, and we will deliver them if they tell us they need delivered.
But it's still a service that runs through Republic.
The service
and
runs
all
through
of that.
Republic, yes.
Yeah, and just to close the loop, the service number form for our local folks is 563-332-0050.
And so I asked her, well, I don't think they come every week. She's like, well, you're right, I don't even know the schedule, so she needs to figure that out. But then apparently she's been putting out a lot and it never gets picked up. And so she needs to figure out the schedule, and then she needs to call if she's being missed so much, so.
That particular pickup has a very specific schedule.
And I will say their website is pretty solid. It's republicservices.com. You can put in your address. It will tell you what services your address specifically is subscribed to and the days that those will be picked up. So,
Okay.
not to be a show for Republic, but they actually, well, it's nice to be, the self-service portion of it is handy, so.
Anything else in Public Works? Parks and Rec?
Matt, still stuck in Miami, I believe, or might be on his way back.
No, he's almost home from Chicago, but they got stuck in rush hour after 5, so he's not coming.
Spend a week on the beach, he gets a little bit of
He was on a cruise, albeit he doesn't like cruises.
No, he had zero interest in going.
It's only fitting that Matt would get stuck or miss a flight in Miami.
Poor Nate getting stuck for 4 days.
As soon as it takes care of reports, reports from Mayor, Council, Administrators. June Treasurer's Report. I've addressed there. Anything to add?
Nah, like I said, our treasurer's report fluctuates between $5 and $7 million, depending on the bonds that we have currently sitting in there. So it'll start probably, we're buying it down, and then we'll have to turn around and borrow for Highway 1, and then we'll be back up.
Moving to the Mayor's Report, probably 3 things to mention in chronological order. I think the Economic Alliance Director with Supporter Economic Alliance, Juliette Abdel, I think is her name, but considered Chamber of Commerce and so on. I reached out to her about what are we getting for our membership, basically, as a, when you pull up their website, it's pictures of Cedar Rapids here and Newville here and so on and so forth. Where are the pictures of Mount Vernon? I mean, we're still paying our dues, if I remember correctly. She challenged me with the question is, what does economic development look like in Mount Vernon? It's not going to be a data center, but I need to answer that question to her, and that's why hopefully Chris is joining along on this. But on August 5th, meeting with other surrounding mayors and city administrators in small towns around the Cedar Rapids, Hiawatha, the Rollins area. Let's get the perimeter towns, the Springvilles and Ely and so on. See what the input we have for her and what we should be expecting from that alliance because for our dues. It's going to be different than what Cedar Rapids has. So that's on August 5th. August 20th, I'm doing a table at the front of the City Hall on Welcome to Cornell students that are coming in, and I will challenge them with either a question they have about the city, or I'll give them some sample questions that I'll address. So we'll interact with Cornell students. Expecting 300 of them between 5 and 6 on August 20th. So I will be there. And Time Capsule Project. I think it's August 24th. We've been asked to provide some items representing Mount Vernon to Time Capsule that the Gazette is formulating for the recognition of the 250 years. It's going to open, I think it's 50 years later. So that's kind of interesting. So
You might want to put some chalk in there.
Good ideas there?
An idea.
I'm writing them down.
Okay.
It's a good idea.
Absolutely. Yeah. But those are a couple things that are coming up right now as far as mayor's report. Anything else from council members? Any other committees? Anything you mentioned? Anything else from the city administrator's report?
No, I think if I mentioned anything else about the pool, it'd be premeditated. Diving boards are currently closed, Paige is going back up.
And yes, they were replaced again this year, so they've been open for like 2 months.
Kind of like the reflecting pool.
Yes, pretty much.
You are the 3rd person that said that to me.
Well, at least on Thursday, we've got we get to watch a demo of the Vermeer AX-19 brush chipper, right?
That was last Thursday. Come on. Sorry.
I missed it.
Oh, don't worry, it'll be back in front of you because they were quite impressed.
And then
I do have some pictures.
It wasn't live action. I'll tail along with you in the passenger seat.
Lori and I will be meeting with Woodruff executive on Wednesday. So we'll see how that conversation goes.
Which is Dog Swim on September 8th. That's what we're hanging our hat on right now.
Yeah.
Just hang on to that.
I would
They do
not
not
say that
care.
too quickly. Careful.
Anything else, Chris? Anything else needs to come before this council? Otherwise, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Hey, you can have it.